You just tuned it in. Global and worldwide. Hitting you on the one with no delay. Because it's the fighter's voice. The fighter's voice. With your fighting host, Richard Ortiz. And the formidable co-host, Mr. Cole Escovedo. Remember, every fighter has a voice.
Fresno, California, we're live here in our own home studio because of this whole coronavirus. We're making it happen, taking every precaution. But that doesn't stop the fighter's voice from continuing to give you the best coverage possible. We got a great show for you tonight, a great lineup. We got with us the WBA super flyweight champion of the world, Joshua Franco. And joining us later, we have his manager, Mr. Rick Mirigian. And then to top things off, later on in the show, we have the program director, the one and the only man, Mr. Evan Korn. I probably didn't get his ID or his title correct because, I mean, the man has so many titles, man, but that's a whole different episode. We'll cover that once he joins the show. I want to just jump right into this. I want to welcome our guest. As you know, he was in a great fight this Saturday. When I say great, because anything that brings controversy or anything that brings viewership becomes great. The numbers were right and the viewers were right. And the outcome, it just goes the way it goes. We got no control over that. So, ladies and gentlemen, in still, the WBA super flyweight champion of the world, Mr. Joshua, the Professor Franco. Welcome to the show, Josh.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me again.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure. You know, just coming back from, you know, the bubble and coming back from your fight, you know, how did you regroup once you got home, once you got out of the bubble?
You know, everything went good, you know, once I got out of the bubble, once I got home to my family, you know, just, you know, they were, you know, to get home safely with me and my family, you know, just and to see them because I hadn't seen them in 2 months. So it was good to see all of them again.
Right, I can imagine. I know you and your brother, Bam Rodriguez, man, you guys are very close. I mean, whenever you're in the ring, there's a little bit of him inside that ring with you, and it's safe to say vice versa, correct? Yeah,
of course. Yes, sir.
Well, let's talk about this, man, because the last time I spoke to you, you know, you just won the bout, and things continue to grow for you. And I'm talking about, you know, the addition of your manager, Rick Mirigian, signing that big promotion deal, you know, across the way, man. Talk to us about how your life is changing every single day.
Yeah, I mean, you know, ever since you know I signed the deal with you know with Rick Mirigian and MTK, you know, everything's it's been going better. You know, there's been talks with, you know, big opportunities for me, and you know I know, you know, Rick's been working hard, you know, for me, and you know with the little time that I've been with him, you know, so. You know, it's going good. Everything's going good.
No, that's good. And first of all, you know, congratulations. And let's talk about the fight Saturday. You know, I'm glad both men made it out safe, and both men made it out with their heads up. You know, there's a lot of things that go on inside the ring as you know, as a fighter, and you're able to face not just your opponent, but you know, things that occur. You know, headbutts, cuts, knockdowns. You know, a hurt hand. But in this, it was just kind of freakish because, first of all, I want to tell you one thing. I was just looking forward to this. I already knew, you know, the main event spoke for itself, but I was so high on the co-main event. I mean, I'm telling you, ask anybody around me, I was like, okay, when the co-main event's on, I'm glued to the TV, man, and I was. Yeah. Tell us about the first time walking in as a champion and the adjustments you had to make on Franco, because it was clear this was, I mean, I'm sorry, on your opponent, Maloney, because it was clear you were facing a different opponent.
Yeah, you know, walking into the ring with my belt, you know, as a champion, you know, I felt really good. You know, I had that confidence in myself that you know, I was going to come victorious. You know, that was in my mind, you know, the whole time walking to the ring. You know, I just felt really good. You know, I had a great camp. So, I mean, I was just really confident going to the ring and, you know, with my team behind me. And, you know, like you said, you know, Maloney came out like he wanted to prove something. You know, he came out sharp, came out strong. And, you know, I mean, he wanted, you know, to get the belt back. And, you know, I'm sure he trained hard, you know, for the fight.
Can I be honest with you, Josh?
Yes, of course. Yes, sir.
He came out the way you came out when you fought him. That hunger you had that first fight.
Yep.
The only one that would have stopped you that night would have been Jesus Christ. That would have been the only one that would have stopped you that night. And he had that. His look was steady and focused, but the way he came out, he really wanted to just, prove a point, like you said. Is that safe to say?
Yes, sir. Of course. He was in great shape. I was in great shape, and we were gonna put on a great fight for the fans.
Speaking of put on a great fight for the fans, because of our time schedule and all these questions, man, I want to cover as much as I can with you. And we can go a whole hour just kicking back talking boxing, because your boxing IQ, that's one thing I do want to add, is through the roof. And that's because of iron sharpens iron. I say it all the time. Where you train at, man, and at Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy, hands down, one of the top gyms in the world.
Yes,
I do want to ask you this, Josh. After the first round, did you know you were in with a different opponent? And let's talk about the headbutt. Let's talk about or the punch. That's what people are saying. But I want to clarify it and hear it through your mouth. After the first round, what adjustments did you have to make, and what was the concerns in the corner? What was the conversation like?
In the first round, I fight the way I always fight. I came out calm. I came out, just seeing what Maloney was going to bring, and as everybody saw, he was coming with everything. But and me, I had no worries in my mind. That's just the way I fight. I start out real slow. I try to figure my opponent out. Give me a few rounds, and after that, it'll be all downhill from there. For my opponents. But yeah, I mean, I just knew I was gonna make the adjustments I needed to during the fight. That's just how I felt. Yeah, Maloney came out sharp. He came out strong. But to me, I didn't see it as a big deal. I knew that little by little I was gonna start getting his rhythm, his timing down. And I was gonna start bringing him down little by little. But unfortunately, the head clash happened in the fight, and I mean, it is what it is. I couldn't see. My eye was closed, and the ref had to do what he had to do, and that was called a fight.
Josh, have you ever faced anything in your career such as the obstacle that you had to face last Saturday?
I faced, I've had a loss before, and I lost by, TKO. I mean, so, this controversy stuff going on, it's nothing new to me. I've been there before, especially with the fights with Negrete, 2 draws, 1 win. And, it's nothing new to me. I've been here. I've been here before.
Okay. Now, the clash occurred in the first round, correct? Was it the middle part, the beginning part? And what was your main reaction once you felt it?
I believe it was maybe the middle part. I'm not too sure when it happened, but I know it did happen. And my reaction was, I was just confused because I stopped seeing out of the right eye. So, I mean, that was something that right there was something new to me. I had never faced something like that in my career. With my eye being closed and whatever. And, a head clash to the eye, I mean, that for sure was new. That was something new to me.
Before we move on to these questions, what was the conversation like in the corner? I mean, did you feel the concern, as your cut man started to address the inswell, or even from your trainer, Robert Garcia? What was that conversation?
I knew there, when I went back to the corner, the focus was on my eye because, it was closed. It was closed, or it was closing at that point. I couldn't see anything at that point. So, they were working on the eye or whatever, and, just trying to, figure it out. But, me, the whole time I was just remaining calm. I had no worries. I was in the fight at that time. So, that's something I couldn't, really worry about at the moment.
A true professional got to continue to go to battle with, 1 battery, 2 batteries, 1 arm, 2 arms. And, I don't want to call it a handicap, but you continue to keep your poise. And that's what I saw throughout the 4 rounds, or what is it, the couple rounds that it went to before they finally called it. I know they wanted it to go 4 before they could really make a decision. Yeah. When the doctor came in, Josh, did you want to continue, or was it just something that was completely out of your hands?
I mean, yeah, it was out of my hands. He asked me a couple questions, and, I answered. And after that, he made the decision to, call the fight.
Never in your wildest dreams. I mean, I know you were fired up. You were ready to go. And like they say, once you win the bout, you become 25 to 30% better, just mentally. And I noticed the confidence that you had. Did you expect anything such as that evening that occurred Saturday?
Honestly, no, I didn't. That was surprising to me. that's I just didn't expect that to happen.
Yeah, unfortunately it did, but I'm glad, first of all, because a lot of times, I mean, when things happen like that, a lot of fighters, they just want to keep to themselves. They don't want to talk to the media. A lot of times they don't trust the media. They don't know, okay, what's this guy going to roll with, what kind of story? But I appreciate the trust that you have in us and here at the Fighter's Voice, man. I mean, we're here to build a fighter, number one. Number one, then that's all we do. Josh, I'm going to address some of these questions that have been coming in, and, your answers, I mean, your best response is all that we can do.
Good.
Now, speaking of controversy, this is from Jamel Herring, and what was the result of his last fight. It said, excuse me, tell Josh that I said for him to keep his head up and push forward. You guys all see my fight and are familiar with the fashion, and I was bashed for weeks on social media by the press. Even though I was clearly winning, it happens, and all you can do is push forward. So it's a question and a comment.
Yeah, thank you, Jamel, for the kind words. I appreciate it, bro. Nobody knows what the boxer goes through, with training camp and the fighting. It's all hard, and nobody really understands us. And yeah, I mean, thank you for the words, Jamel, and I appreciate it, bro.
Okay, man, I got to fly around here, man. I'm gonna have to throw a little jab on me. I'm serious, man. That's about live TV. That's real TV. Now, here's one, and check this one out, man. I mean, we've had a conversation about this numerous times. It says from Sean Gibbons, Viva Sean Gibbons. Yes, please let Joshua Franco know I send my congrats on his victory Saturday night. And that German Akajas is a big fan of his fighting style and looks forward to one day fighting and unifying the WBA title in the IBF title. And he also added the biggest rivalry in boxing, the Philippines versus Mexico.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate the congratulations. Yeah, I mean, I feel like me versus, German and Kaz would be a great fight. Something the fans will want to see for sure. It would be nonstop action. Like he said, Philippines versus, Mexico. That'll be a great rivalry. And, just, I know we'll put on a great show, and we'll give the fans, what they want to see and unify the belts.
We spoke different times about that, me and you, Josh, before, and I told you, man, because I know you had mentioned Chocolatito at one time, but Akajas, his energy, I mean, that's going to be a barn burner, both you guys, when that time comes that you guys share the ring. Yes. I mean, I see it just, being a classic, and maybe one of two, maybe two of three, trilogy.
Yep. I mean, who knows? Look at Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez. They had great fights, and they had a great trilogy as well, and that would be legendary to do.
Exactly. I'm glad you're open to that, man. A lot of times, fighters say, "Well, I'll leave it up to my manager or whoever they put in front of me." But I'm glad you take on these questions and these tasks, and we get to see a side of you that a lot of fans are hungry and thirsty. To see, true words from a true fighter, from a true warrior. Now, here's a great question. When I read this question coming into that, I said, man, these are great questions. This is coming from Andy Vincent, South Tiburon from San Jose. It says, how do you feel that nobody from Golden Boy was there to support you?
I did feel, I felt down about that because, I didn't have any support, from, Golden Boy with me at the fight. And then, also I seen that Oscar De La Hoya tweeted, at first he tweeted that he did see the headbutt, and then he started switching up towards the end, saying that he didn't see the headbutt, which is kind of messed up, coming from our own promoter. But I mean, what can I do? I'm just gonna continue going and stay strong. I mean, we'll see what happens.
I mean, for what it's worth, man, I'll probably get some slack for saying this. I've never seen him one time wrap your hands or put a mouthpiece in your mouth. So you truly know who's in your corner.
Of course. Yes, sir.
There was a text that was out there, and it said something like, I can't wait to the main event, or said something. And I don't know if you remember, I said the main event, I'm looking forward to the co-main event.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's just real talk. We're keeping it real here.
Yes, sir.
Now, here's another one, Josh. I know the answer to this, but I know the fans want to ask you. Again, this is from Andy Vincent. Would you give a third fight in Australia to Maloney like Bob Arum wants? Are you willing to go down to Australia, down under?
I mean, we'll see what happens. Am I willing to give him a third fight? Yeah, why not? I mean, the way the fight ended, that's not what the fans wanted to see. So, the third fight, of course, I'll give it to him in Australia. I mean, we'll have to see what me and my team say about that.
It says, I know they really want this third fight. It seems like they're in a hurry to try to get this belt back. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, they're hungry for the belt. I mean, I don't blame them. They want to be world champions again. So, but for now, I have the belt. I'm still the world champion, and we'll see what happens.
Right on. I mean, there's a lot of questions there, man. But I just got to ask you some questions, and I got to give you the platform right now. I shared with you. I know next Tuesday we have. We're scheduled to have Andrew Maloney on the show. He's going to be on here on the podcast, and when we have a platform, we leave it. It's for the fighters, as you know. And no need to explain myself, but at this time, he's listening and watching. Do you have any words for Andrew Maloney?
I mean, I have no words, for him. Just, stay in shape, and then, be ready. And, I mean, just stay blessed. I mean, there's whatever happened. It is what it is. And, I mean, we'll see what happens next.
That was a class act. Now, I got to ask you this, man. What's it like working with Rick Mirigian?
It's good working with him. It's pretty simple. He does all the hard work, and yeah. I mean, it's just great working with him, man. He's a hard worker. Anything that I ask him, he's on it right away. He doesn't take any breaks. He's always on it. He's always on to something. So it's great working with him, and it's great having him as my manager.
You're a hard worker as it is, and Rick's just joining us right now. You're a hard worker as it is. How much of his work ethic has rubbed off on you?
Well, he has a very good hard work ethic. I feel like I was, born with that as well. So I feel like we have that in common. Even before we met, I know he's a hard worker. I'm sure he knows I'm a hard worker in the gym as well. So, I mean, that's just something that we have, that we're like each other.
What are those conversations like, man? I mean, does he just blow up your phone? Does he email you? Does he get upset when you don't answer your phone?
No, he doesn't get upset. And whenever he has some news for me right away, he's letting me know. He tells me give me a call, or he'll call me right away. So I know he's on it.
Yeah, exactly. I know he raises the bar. Hey, welcome to the show, Rick. How you doing, man?
Good. Busy, but good.
Ladies and gentlemen, the manager and of many fighters, and the man that wears many hats, many titles. Welcome to the show, Mr. Rick Mirigian.
So,
Rick. Hey, what's happening? I don't know if you caught the beginning of the show. I was asking Josh, about Saturday night, of course, and how he adapted inside the ring, and how he had no control over the outcome. Those that did have control over the outcome was the Las Vegas Commission. What was your take, Rick, on the long time? I believe it was like 26 minutes to finally get a decision and finally get a clear answer.
I think they got it right. I think that they shouldn't have took 26 minutes. I definitely understand Arum and Top Rank's frustration with stuff. They were doing their job for their fighter. That's what they're supposed to do. They're promoting Maloney, so they're going to do everything they can for their guy. But notwithstanding that, they got the call right. And if it would have went the other way, I was there to contest it with the commission, speak to the media, and do my part, for our side. Our promoter wasn't there, or any representative from Golden Boy, so I would have had to deal with it myself, but I would have been more than enough, I think, to handle it.
Rick, you've always supported and backed up your fighters. I don't care. I've seen you go all the way to Las Vegas just to join in and weigh in, and then head back, or just to get some documentation signed. How different was it this time? I believe this was your first time entering the bubble. How different, and how did you have to adapt to it? Because you kind of like your freedom,
So I just called and said, hey, I'd like to appear for Franco, and did a quick COVID test that they had on site. There was approximately 100 people that they allowed go into the bubble to watch the fight. directly close up. You just had to take a 20-minute COVID test, and that was it. Again, I was shocked though that no one from Golden Boy was there, or anyone. That was disturbing to me. This was a young fighter that put on a hell of a performance last time, one of their world champions, and I just don't understand how not one person was there, from that side. But to me, it was easy. I just picked up the phone and called, and they said no problem, like they always do.
Hell, shoot, Golden Boy, give me a call. I'll put the hat on. I'll go represent for you. If you can't make it down there, I'll go represent. I'll be more than happy to represent Joshua Franco and the rest, the professor, man. I mean, when you have a champion there, and I don't know, it has no words. Exactly. I don't know what to say. I don't want to bash anybody. I'm sure they have their reasons, Rick. Go and join me if you want to on this, Franco. Rick, what conversations did you and Joshua have after the fight? Where he knew, okay, it's in good hands. I don't got to worry about anything else.
I just told him, don't be down or listen to anybody. They got the call right. You can't do anything after 2 rounds. In fact, I think he, in the last fight, lost the first 2 rounds and then pulverized the guy and destroyed him. So, he didn't even get a chance to do his normal game plan. So that was it. He's still the champion. He's in the driver's seat. I told him, and if anything, he has a lot more options now and will command a lot more money, coming up. So, just reminded him of all those things, because he's a fighter and wears his heart on his sleeve as well. So, it's just important for him to know that stuff. I just want to see if he was all right afterwards. I know he went to go get checked out. He said he was fine. So
that was the extent of the conversation afterwards.
Josh, when you hear that support system from your manager and from your team, how does that make you feel as opposed to a year ago?
It makes me feel good knowing that I have a good team behind me now, even stronger, adding Rick and, MTK to the team. It just makes me feel, that I have nothing to worry about. I'm in good hands. I know that they're going to take care of me very well.
Rick, I look forward to your post, man, because I'm thinking, who's this guy going to sign next? I mean, rumor has it could be Garnelo's name's been thrown out there. Andy Ruiz Jr.'s name's been out there. It's like no fighter is safe from not signing with Rick Mirigian, man. First of all, congratulations on the fire that you started, man. When did this fire start? And when did you wake up and say, you know what? It's time to shine. It's time to take it to the next level.
Man, I'd like to say probably 6-7 months ago. I just woke up and said, enough's enough on my end. I need to get stuff done. I'm capable. And I just woke up that morning and said, okay, I'm going to go do this. And then I pushed and tried. And, I've always felt that fighters are misrepresented overall in our sport. There's not a union. They're not protected in a union. So, managers are as different as people are different. And I just feel that with the team I put together and some of the things that I've already learned I'm capable of, that, I can protect the fighter better than most managers, and maximize their career earnings, as well as a number of other things, from endorsements and PR and media, just properly represent them. And, I found ways to work with them that they're still comfortable within and respectful to anybody that's existing. And, that was it.
When it comes time to protect your fighter and to talk for your fighter, I'm going to describe you as a fighter, walking down and walking into that ring, into that cage, you become this quiet person, and all of a sudden when it comes to protecting or speaking for your fighter, a switch goes on. Do you got control over that switch? It just happens, or it's just embedded in you once you're signed and taking care of your fighter?
I approach every situation with the utmost respect, morally and ethically approach any negotiation, and then I guess that switch goes off when, you've given someone that type of respect and they lie. You can deal with a lot of things, but dealing with people that lie is something that you just can't do. For me, it's the worst type of person. So usually it's a lie or something to that extent that will, trigger a different side, you may want to say, where, the gloves come off and the courtesy's gone and it's all business. And, sometimes they will mistake mistake my kindness for weakness once in a while. And it's the best way to describe it. But until I'm given a reason, not to respect that person because I'm showing them the utmost respect in this situation, then that's usually when I'll be a little vocal.
When do you know it's too far?
And it's too far when his promoter last night, goes on to Twitter and says he didn't see the headbutt, and puts his fighter in jeopardy all the way across the board. And then, obviously anybody with a brain would understand that the opposing side's lawyer, which the kid got a lawyer, Maloney, out of New York, and the first thing he cites for his appeal is that, our own promoter said he didn't even see a headbutt. To me, that's just ridiculous. So that's one of those situations where I'm not going to be quiet. That's a stupid thing to do. And nobody at Golden Boy defended it. Nobody at Golden Boy said a word afterwards. They just let him do it. CEO or not, it's the wrong thing to do. And, if you're in that company and you're running stuff, then step up and do the right thing. Don't make excuses for that type of behavior. He seriously can put his fighter in jeopardy by saying stuff like that. And let's say he didn't see a headbutt. Do you really think it's smart to go on to social media when you have millions of followers, media included, and say something like that and put your own guy at jeopardy? So that's an instance where there's no need to be silent anymore or careful. It's like they don't care, and then subsequently you get a bunch of excuses afterwards instead of just owning up to the screw up and or doing something to fix it. They just leave it there. So, that's a scenario to me that I didn't feel was personally right. Unless you can explain it to me or someone with any, anybody can explain to me why that was okay to do. That's a good example for it.
I can't explain why there was nobody there to represent, and that could have just been left alone to add an opinion when you were not there live. I kind of would have held back on that myself.
I checked. There was not a request from Golden Boy to be at that fight by anyone. And Top Rank is not a company to turn down anyone. Every promoter had a representative for the opposite side at that fight and the past 6 fights, or any of them I can remember. Hell, I was there in the crowd with 100 people in the bubble. What does that tell you? There's no excuses to be made. But they've got a bunch of excuses, of course, which, that's the part where I just don't respect. Say you didn't go because you didn't want to go. Say you didn't go because you didn't think about it. But don't lie. Just tell the truth. But just the whole situation rubbed me wrong. Where are the promoters to advocate for the fighter if something happens? Everyone's saying, oh, Aram and this and that, and Top Rank, they're influencing the commission, as you guys saw on ESPN. They're in their ear saying stuff. That's their job. They're defending their guy. It's Maloney's promoter. That's what you want to see from your promoter. Now, can you imagine if someone from our side was there to jump in that conversation as well and help out, advocate for them? That's the only point I can make to you. Like, it's not a good feeling to be in a situation like that. It's just not. And there's no excuse that's rational that you can use for it. None.
I agree with you, man, and I feel exactly your energy and how it's changing from the concerns. I expected to see Oscar in that ring going crazy, or somebody representing him, or just doing what they needed to do. Honestly, I did.
Just one person, just one executive could have showed up. There was no restrictions. Nobody asked. I was there. There's 100 people in the bubble there as a crowd, and Top Rank's never turned down anyone, especially in a world championship, to have a representative there, in the bubble. And trust me, that decision could have went either way real fast, as you know. So it's just a unsettling, feeling.
Josh, you're listening to your manager and the concerns that he has. Josh, in your opinion, how does Golden Boy, how do they fix this?
I don't know.
How do they make it right with you, Josh?
Richard, I don't know if it's fair to ask Josh, Josh that's more or less me. You should ask that in his team, even right now.
I know, Rick, but I want to see how. I don't expect Josh to give details. I want to know how he feels. He's a fighter.
I have nothing much to say about that,
Okay.
But I would, ask Rick that question.
Okay, that's fair. Rick, how does Golden Boy make it right? How do they fix this?
They go out of their way and just,
tell the truth on stuff and own up to the issues and not make excuses for not being there and saying they weren't allowed and this and that. Just do something that shows some good faith or effort towards Josh. I mean, I don't know what else to say, but Josh is the champion, so you understand. Josh has his rights to fight, anybody at this point. Could be Roman Gonzalez, could be in HOLLIS, it could be a trilogy again. But Josh is not going to be forced by Golden Boy or anyone else to into a fight. Josh will decide that. He has a team of people. We'll get him his options, and he'll make that decision, going forward. But, I mean, that's the best way I can answer that question. But, as you can see, this is not the only situation over there that is less than normal, in my opinion. I mean, I didn't anticipate these kind of things happening. I approached, dealing with them in a great and positive manner and was upbeat about it. But some of this stuff is just ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Josh, and moving forward, I mean, we talked before Rick joined us about your options. I mean, what would you like to do? Who would you like to fight? What would you like to do for your next move, moving forward, Josh?
I would like to, if it was up to me, I would unify with, one of the world champions, Chocolatito, Ancajas, whoever, any of the top fighters, I'll fight any of them. I don't care who it is.
That's a great answer. I appreciate your answer, Josh. Rick, I know your hat's on, man, and you're ready to go. And yes, I'm glad you're standing your ground and moving forward and exploring your options. I know you slept on it before you make a rational decision. What does Rick Mirigian think is the best option for his fighter today, right now?
I mean, obviously, one of the biggest concerns is the biggest check that would be derived for him. He's earned that. He's earned the right to a payday at this point for a lot of reasons that I won't get into, on this call. But, I mean, that would definitely be, first and foremost, something that I would want to see, just the best situation for him. Highest offer, best network, most exposure. Those things will play into the decision making, I'm sure, for him.
Hey, not playing matchmaker myself, but your buddy and legendary Sean Gibbons has made it known that German Akajas and Joshua Franco would be an outstanding fight, a barn burner for the fans and for the fighters. What's your take on that possible matchup to unify?
Great fight. I mean, you remember what I did in Fresno with 21 days within HOLLIS. It's 6,500 people here attend. So with Franco fighting, if we're allowed, I'll fill the Save Mart Center, legitimately fill it with him fighting, and he'll make a hell of a lot of money and have his first big promotion done. I'll do it for him. So that would be a great thing if the money is right for him in this situation. Definitely. I mean, that could be definitely could be an option for him, And I know Aram is friendly with HOLLIS and Gibbons, and they've done a lot of stuff together. So that's not off the table. I'm sure it'll be looked at. No question about it.
Rick, after this year, I mean, we're all waiting for it so we can put it behind us and move forward. What do you have in store for 2021? Is there anything that's going through your mind that you can just give us the heads up on, or just hint? Because I know you love giving hints, man.
Look, I anticipate that we're going to be stuck in this situation for the better part of next year, at least the first 6 months. So at this point, I just hope to get some marquee fights done for the guys, for Franco again, Ramirez and Taylor, just there's a whole roster of guys, all of them good. Just I want to get them placed and at least keep them busy somehow, some way. And at this point, that's the goal for it. But until they take these restrictions off, it's going to be hard to do anything, spectacular that I would normally try to do with filling an arena or coming up with something gigantic. It's just going to be hard at this point. I mean, that dictates everything. So, you got to appreciate, Top Rank and some of these companies, Matchroom, that are going out there and producing these fights still under these circumstances. It's not easy. It is definitely not easy, and it's costly, and it's just a nightmare. So, we're fortunate that, the big promoters are keeping the wheels turning right now. And I don't think a lot of people understand that.
Just to let you know, a comment that came in today. I mean, just a random talk. You spoiled Fresno. You don't realize how spoiled Fresno was and how much they appreciate the fact that they've had huge fights there at Save Mart Center. Boxing is back in Fresno, world title fights in Fresno, and people who were just hating along the way didn't realize that you gave them the golden ticket. A lot of them were fighters. I mean, to make their pro debut in front of 12,000, 15,000 people is unheard of. And for that just to be vanished and gone right now, I mean, the impact that you made on Fresno, is that high on your agenda once we start moving and completely to the normal circuit?
The second I have the chance to, you'll see that stuff happening. But you'll see more of it happening than last time. Because with having 10 guys now and multiple promoters, you'll see me dealing with different companies. So you'll see more fights. You'll see more fights at the casinos, the arena. You know, I plan to be, 3 times as busy literally than I was before. So I can't wait for the market to open up. So, I mean, that's probably the best surprise I can tell you is you'll see a lot more stuff than I did prior just by having these relationships with different people, MTK, Top Rank Matchroom. You'll see a bunch, even Banner with Ruben Villa. You'll see some stuff, happening in Salinas, close by. Like, we got to get the market open to do all these things.
No, I agree with you, and we look forward to that. Josh, before I cut you loose, because we're going to have Evan Korn on the show, and I want to give him some freedom and some time.
Let me argue with him for 2 seconds.
I'm going to leave you on there, Rick, and that'll be pretty neutral. But, Josh, what do you got to say to all the fans and supporters that continue to watch you, support you? And, you made a statement the other day, these are my true fans who've been here since day one and stick with me. I mean, you put that because you were feeling a certain way. What do you have to say to all the fans, again, that are supporting you and that are Team Franco?
Gotta, want to say a big thank you to all my real supporters. Like I said, all my real fans, to my team for having my back always. And, just continue to support me because, you're going to continue seeing great things from me.
Well, you definitely got the support right there, as you saw just a little while ago on your show, on this show here. That has a good ring to it on your show. This is your show, Josh, right? This is your show. As you got to see your manager say, hey, Richard, well, address it to me. That's not the question. But that just shows right now that your manager has your back 100%. How does that make you feel, man? Because I knew when he said that I was going to ask you this question that I'm asking you now.
Yeah, it just makes me feel good. Like I said before, I'm in great hands, with my team, and I have no worries. I know that they're going to take care of me very well.
Josh, I will add to that. You're in great hands. I mean, you're in great hands. How many fighters today would love to be training 24/7 at Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy, him in your corner? How many fighters will love to have a manager, shark out of water? I say that because he eats up every opportunity possible, and Rick Mirigian. What other fighter would love to be iron sharpens iron with the Mikey Garcias, the Jose Ramirez's, the Virgil Ortiz's, and you never know who is going to walk through that door at Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy. You are truly blessed, my man.
Yes, sir. Like you said, it's a blessing. I'm blessed. I'm in good hands. So, like I said, thank you to all my supporters, all my fans. Thank you for having me again. And, just thank you to my team as well. Thank you to Rick, MTK, Robert, everybody.
Josh, how can we follow you, man, on social media?
You can follow me on Instagram at Professor Franco and Twitter, Joshua Franco _.
Okay, I know Rick's working on this right now, man, but when those shirts come out with the professor on there, I'll order my own, man, and I'll contribute, man, to support Team Franco. So just know that.
Appreciate it, bro. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm going to let you go, my man, and, I'm also a supporter, and I follow what you do. You already know that. I'm going to go ahead and wrestle with your manager right now. Have a good night,
man.
Josh. Thank you.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Right. Josh, rest up.
All right. See you, Rick, later.
Rick, as you know right now, we're going to be joined shortly with Evan Korn.
I can't wait. That's one of my most favorite people there is.
He's a cool dude, man. I just heard, hey, don't piss him off is what I've been hearing. So not you personally. I was just advice to me. Said, Richard, he's cool people, but
no, that's smart. That's definitely one guy you don't want to rub the wrong way. But it'll be fun to tangle with him for a few minutes.
Yeah, he'll be joining us, and when he pops up, we'll address it once he comes on. So, Rick, what's it like for you, man? I mean, your daily schedule has checked in. I mean, what do you do? You text your fighters in the morning, good morning, how's everything going? Do you communicate with them? Do you send them emails, or what is it that you do? What's your routine like with your fighters?
So, normally before I go to bed each night, I just do I draft an email to myself, empty out my head of everything I have to do, who I have to call, what I have to get done. And then I usually, nowadays I've been waking up around 3:30 in the morning to stay on top of the work. I'm sure that'll come down a little bit, but right now, just there's so much stuff to get done. It's one thing to go out and acquire guys and sign them in normal circumstances, but going out and doing it now is just, the work is, compounded times 10. I mean, you've got bad scenarios, promoters that don't have fights, contracts out of whack everywhere. So trying to protect the fighter, get them set up right, and advocate for them is very hard during these times. So, I've done this at probably the worst time I could probably do it. But, like what I like to think and tell myself is that the best opportunities come in the worst scenarios and the worst situations. So for me, this pandemic and all the problems associated with it, that was my chance to do this. And that's how I've looked at it and approached it. If I can straighten out certain situations, if I can help these guys, then I've done my job and earned my place. And that's how I viewed it.
Right on, man. I mean, that's to the point. Evan, are you joining us here? Are you here, Evan? Oh, there you are, my man.
Hey, Richie, what's up, man?
How's everything going?
I'm good, man. Good. Yes, everything's going good. Holy crap, you got Rick on the line. Uh-oh.
Hey, man, that's not myself, like ambushing or something. He just said
no.
He wanted to say hello personally. He had nothing but good things to say.
No. Rick is the best at what he does. Drives me absolutely crazy, as I tell him all the time, but he's the best. So
Richard threw me out at the fight this weekend. He had security remove me from the bubble. Richard, do not listen to me.
Listen. I apologize. My video is not great, but I may or may not have tried to get Rick thrown out. But he's a hustler. He can always find his way back in to places. So my efforts were all for naught.
I mean, I can see that happening. I can see security trying to throw him out and then coming back looking at a handful of tickets because Rick hooked him up and took care of him and stay at a suite in Vegas.
Rick had special vouchers for the bellmen and the chefs at the MGM Grand, so they all got in.
Hey, you know what? All jokes aside, you're telling the truth, Evan.
Well, it's like I'm actually like kind of not even kidding, probably knowing Rick. But I really, one of the things when all this stuff is done and we can get back to events, I can't wait to see what Rick has in store, because has a really good roster of talent under his auspices now. So I'm excited to see what he does with all of his fighters, top rank and otherwise. So that'll be really fun when we get back to business, for sure.
Absolutely. And you know what? We're all excited about these back-to-back shows, Evan. I got to hand it to you, man. I mean, we're talking about 2,029,000 viewers this weekend. I mean, 2 million.
Yeah. No, it was, we were all very happy with the numbers, and, a credit to Terrence's talent and a credit to the promotional muscle ESPN put behind it, and a big credit to Kell Brook, who talked the talk and was fighting well for a few rounds and got caught. But, it was a exciting promotion all the way around. And, the only thing that would have been better is if we were in front of 18,000 fans in Omaha, but it was a fun night for sure. Night and a controversial night. I know, Rick got away with one by the skin of his chinny chin chin in the co-feature. Skin of his teeth, Rick.
If you knew how many media people asked me how I felt about Top Rank and what was going on and the influence in there and the screaming and this and that, my answer was, that's their promoter doing their job. They're supposed to be doing that. They're supposed to be advocating for Maloney, while I look around and don't see anybody else on our side but me. So, I mean,
listen, I'm joking around, but obviously Rick is going to stand up for his guy as much as wrong as I believe his opinion is, or right. what I think his opinion is. He needs to stand up for his guy. And I think it'll all be settled in the third fight, because in the second fight, Andrew Maloney was on his way to knocking out Joshua Franco. And listen, I have nothing but Joshua Franco is a consummate pro, one of the nicest kids you're going to meet in boxing. So, I'm not like rooting for this kid to get beat up, but you know, he was on his way to getting really beat up in the second fight. And, you know, I strongly believe in the third fight, justice will finally prevail.
Any idea where that third fight is going to take place? Is it going to be set in stone? Is that what you push for immediately, a third fight?
Listen, I'm going to, you know, as I've told you before, Richie, when I come in the show, you know, those are the decisions of the people in power, the Bob Arams of the world, Oscar on Franco's side, Franco's team, including Rick. But all those parties will come to an agreement. And, you know, if the WBA mandates a third fight, which I believe they will, you know, then it's mandated. And I think both sides, you know, credit to both sides. Andrew wants to fight. I think Joshua, I can't speak for him. I didn't listen to him earlier, but I think Joshua would want to set the record straight, because a lot of people are saying, yo, you would have lost. You're on your way to getting lost or getting your butt kicked. Joshua's a proud guy, and he would want to, I think, prove people like myself who are out there saying Andrew's on his way to winning comfortably that, no, that wasn't the case. So I think, listen, at the end of the day, and I saw Andrew. Andrew came by the office, Top Rank offices yesterday. I met with Bob. You know, I was with his team for a bit, and I told Andrew that, you know, I know it doesn't feel this way now, but at the end of the day, if you take care of business and you beat Franco like you think you can, and we all think you can, you'll become a bigger star than ever, and you'll make more money than you would have. It's just the way it is. So, you know, I guess that's sort of the silver lining that can potentially come out of it for both men, is that both are more well known, and the third fight, when it happens, will be far more anticipated than the first or the second fight. And so it's going to be very exciting to see what happens there. You know, that's, you know, listen, the third fight, depending on COVID and what's going on in Australia, could happen in Australia. You know, Bob talked about that to Fox Sports Australia yesterday. That would be a great part of a great event potentially with other world title fights. I know Joshua would travel to Australia. Money's right. Hey, let's get your passport. Let's go. So listen, it's a lot of controversy Saturday night, but I think it's going to lead to a lot of great things.
Very well said, and thanks for the information. And I know, Evan, I know you're not the matchmaker and you don't make these decisions or answers, but these are the questions I got to ask. As a host, I got to ask, even though I know you don't know, just to get something hinted, that's what I need to ask. So just like a promoter would stick up for his fighter.
No, listen, I mean, I think, you know, I've seen other videotape that was given us by ESPN, and it was abundantly clear that it was a punch that opened that caused the damage. And I think that'll be made clear soon enough. At the same time, you have people, you know, somebody from the commission quoted, I believe in either Lance, I think quoted to Kevin Iole, saying a jab couldn't do that to an eye. Well, Andrew Maloney in the fight when he won the title over Elton Dari last year actually opened up a humongous swelling over Dari's right eye, which was the cause of a stiff left jab. So the same injury that was caused by a left jab in the Franco fight, he did it to another opponent. So there is precedent for that. You know, it's terrible. You know, people are saying a jab can't do the damage. Well, the first knockdown in the Terrence Crawford-Kell Brook fight was started with the punch that led to the sequence where the referee, you know, called him a knockdown against the ropes, was a hard power jab. So to say a jab couldn't cause that is lunacy. Now, whether you want to argue that it was the headbutt first, that's one thing. But Andrew Maloney has proven he can do that to a guy's eye with a jab. He did it once. He did it again Saturday night.
That's a fair answer. Listen, you've had a great last couple of shows, and I'm going to jump into some of these questions and change it up a bit, because I do want to touch this topic when we do end. But right now, I want to change it up a bit.
Wait. On those shows that you referenced, he credited quite a few people for these numbers, but he left out a few people as well that I think, you know, Evan and his team have created press and PR and storylines for the Lopez fight, the Crawford fight. You know, those things are what boost those numbers for the viewership.
Absolutely.
You know, getting outside celebrities involved in these fights, you know, countless interviews, mainstream interviews, pop culture mainstream type stuff. They work tirelessly to promote those fights. Him and his associates, Gardy Lopez, you know, on the Spanish side. Evan and his team they're just like promoters when a fight is coming that big. And look, he's already got his storylines for a possible third fight.
Listen, it ain't possible. It ain't possible, Rick. It's going to be mandated, and your guy's going to have to take that fight. And listen, and I can't listen. The fact that you're with Joshua Franco, and the fact that you're advising, but you're also a promoter and the jack of all trades.
Actually, a registered manager.
But no, whatever your title is, Rick, you have 87 more titles. Just like whenever somebody asks me what's Rick's title with Jose Ramirez, it's like manager, advisor, promote. He does it all, and so I'm actually excited about the third fight because I know Rick's gonna have some great stuff up his sleeve for the third fight. We'll go back and forth on Twitter. It'll be a fun time for all of us. And yeah, no, Rick's right. I mean, we've got a great social media team, a great video team that edits great videos. It puts together great behind-the-scenes content. Todd DeBuff, our president, has really invested in those types of avenues to get those stories out there. And I think Rick saw with the in-arena presentation in this bubble, that all started with Todd, looking how other sports were doing things and saying, the era of, you used to go to events in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. There was no video boards, no light shows. This is boxing videos. And going to a boxing event back in the day, could be kind of boring. You just, fight would end. You sit on your feet. No big hubbub. So I think that all that stuff, especially with a guy like Teofimo Lopez, that's 3 years of building and building and building. But the most important thing is you have a kid who's got the personality and is willing and able to do every press interview you throw his way and wants to get better. Will ask how I can get better, how I can improve. So when you deal with guys like that, it makes your job so much easier.
Well, that kind of answered my question. This question was coming from Lee Samuels. He said, what's it like, and I'm sure he knows the answer already, what's it like working with the biggest stars in boxing?
Lee's asking that question?
Yeah, he's asking.
Wow.
The guy who worked with Marvin Hagler,
Muhammad Ali,
et cetera, go down those. What's great? Every guy is so different, right? Like dealing with the Terrence Crawford is 180 degrees from Teofimo Lopez, and from Tyson Fury is his own animal. Jose Ramirez is a unique guy. I mean, he's more, in my dealings with him, is very quiet, very respectful, very businesslike, but does what needs to get done. Fury's more boisterous. Crawford, there's a side of Crawford I don't think a lot of people get to see often. I think you saw a little in that behind-the-scenes video when he's challenging people to ping-pong games and being the most competitive man on earth. But to answer the question, man, it's fun. And I really enjoy working with the guys that are coming up. That, a 20, 21-year-old kid, you can be a little more straight with them because you've built that bond from the beginning. So it's fun, man. I've been having the time of my life. But for Lee to ask that question, I've asked that question of Lee 1,000 times. What was it like working with Hagler? What was it like working with De La Hoya or Eric Morales? I mean, Lee's worked with them all, so for him to ask that question is fantastic.
Evan, today, I mean, it was like remarkable to get a call just randomly from a Hall of Famer that just wants to talk boxing to you. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm on hold, and then I'm showing the other person in the room. And I've been on hold for 20 minutes, but I'm getting a call from Lee Samuels. They knew what they said. Shit, just answer the call, man. Yeah, so I didn't answer it in time, but he called back and just loves to talk boxing with me from a Hall of Famer. I'm like a kid in a candy store. And then I told him you were going to be on the show today, and yeah, he shot that question my way.
No, it's he's sometimes in the office he'll just come up to goes, Evan, come here. Like, Evan, come here, and
I got a story to tell.
He has like some nugget, and what's great is PR when ever since Lee started in a different era of PR when newspapers were king and radio was king, and it was you got your message across in a different way. There's no social media, no internet, etc. But so many of the principles that Lee mastered still are still relevant today. How to deal with the media, how to get storylines out there. I mean, Lee's the best at what he did, and so to call him a mentor is like beyond my wildest expectations of a job like this. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Well, he spoke very highly of you in the hard work that Rick was talking about earlier, behind the scenes and in your team, and especially the numbers, the last 2 shows. So knowing that is coming from a man that is very well respected and top rank, and just in the boxing world in itself, how does that make you feel, Evan?
I mean, humbled. It's listen, compliments are great. When you hear people like Rick complimenting the work myself and Gardy does, and we're a small cog in the engine. It means a lot, but you try to stay grounded, because it's you're only as good as your last promotion, and we had a very successful promotion with Crawford Brook, but we've got Shakur Stevenson fighting in December, and I think a really exciting slate of fights in 2021. Ramirez Taylor, oh man, I got a tickle in my throat there, and I think that's the fight in 2021. And what I love about that fight is I've had a couple people say to me, oh, Ramirez has got no shot. Oh, Taylor's going to toyage. Taylor's going to – and I was like, man, these people don't know Jose Ramirez. And listen, it's a great fight. I won't pick it one way or another. Both are top-ranked guys, and so I won't make a pick publicly. But, Jose didn't fight his best fight in his last fight. I thought he beat Postal – close but clear, and now people are using that fight to say, oh, well, Josh Taylor's going to run roughshod over him, and no, I think it's going to be a great fight. That's the one in 2021 I want to see. I hope, if it wasn't for COVID, I'd love to see that in Edinburgh, right outside Edinburgh Castle in Scotland, like Josh Taylor wants. Everybody's come to Jose's hometown. He could go there. Josh could come to Fresno. I know Rick wants to put one in the football stadium. Over at FSU, so either place, man, would be fantastic. LA, London, you could put that fight. Vegas, you could put that fight anywhere.
Vegas, Rick, listening to that, how does that make you feel, man? Knowing you're getting a green light, so to speak, you're getting a good cosign.
That wasn't a good cosign.
Yeah, of course it was.
Hey, Evan wants to fight at the Edinburgh Castle. It's not. Look. It's a great.
Rick, I want to go to Edinburgh. That's why it's not about. Yeah, I just want to go there. That's so.
So for me, that fight, hopefully it lands in Vegas. It lands at Raiders Stadium with a variance. I can sell that many tickets from Fresno to go there. To be honest with you, which will move the bottom line. But we just got to hope the money's there for the fight. To make it happen. But I think a neutral site, Vegas is probably the place that I would hope and position for that to happen. And then Richard, just so outside the ring, Evan spent some time and helped us with that massive thing I did in Fresno where we raised $60,000 in 3 days and got all that worldwide press. Evan actually spent some off time when we, getting some major media outlets for Jose lined up for that thing. Where we took the 1,000 boxes out to the fields and all that. Evan actually helped in his spare time, do that. So, Richard, just wanted you to know that. But on the other thing, Evan, sorry, we're gonna stay out of that castle.
Well, okay, fine. Well, it'll be Josh Taylor in a non-Ramirez fight. Listen, I think of these fights selfishly where I want to travel for fights, so not necessarily. Rick and I have different interests there. But listen, a home game in Vegas would be nice, Rick. I expect and listen, Rick, it's a Legion Stadium. A Legion has a route from Fresno to Vegas. I'm sure Rick will get a couple charter planes going there. Rick's already got that in motion.
We'll raise so much money for that fight from Fresno for Top Rank. It'll be hard for it to be ignored, and there's no question about it. No question. But, Evan, I've had a few people think that Jose Ramirez will knock Josh Taylor out pretty easy, given that, he fought that guy right out of that Uber driver, right fresh out of the Uber. And, Jose actually had to train for 9 months straight. Given your lengthy PR career, I don't think you can find another fighter in the history of boxing that actually had to train 9 months straight and had 4 fights, not 3, but 4 cancel on him, and then mentally stay good while his coach had COVID and a number of other things. So let's let Josh feel confident about barely beating up a guy that me and you could have handled. I like this scenario we're dealing with.
Listen. I think Oppen and Kong Son could kick both their butts, Rick. But
I doubt it.
By the way, they don't have Uber in Thailand. They have a thing called Grab. So
then he's driving that bike. They drive around like I had to get in London, where they wheel you everywhere. He definitely wasn't a fighter.
Listen. It was unfortunately, it was a mandatory that sometimes mandatories are good. Other times mandatories don't work out the way you want. But no, you're right. Like Jose, listen, and not even what happened with Jose in this last camp.
Right.
You know, he's had the most run of worse luck. The Danny O'Connor situation.
Oh, that was horrible. That was horrible for me too that night. Remember?
I've never listened. I'm not making.
Rick almost fainted that night.
No.
That weigh-in, Rick almost fainted.
At the weigh-in, when news came down at the weigh-in, and I'm not making light of what happened. I'm just saying I've never seen somebody more upset in my life. Like you could see the blood just went away from Rick's face, and he's like 3 months of work down in the you know what. And I think we all felt tremendous. You know, listen, it sucks for all of us, but somebody has time and money invested in it.
We saved it. We had the fight still go on the next day. But it was scary. Brad Jacobs talked me off the ledge that night. That was it for me. I'm like, this is too much. If I survive this, there's nothing I can't survive.
No, that was rough. But then 2 months later, we were back at my favorite venue, the Save Mart Center, and it was a hell of a promotion. So yeah, that's what I miss. That's what I miss. I mean, man, I'm sure Rick does too. It's the going to these cities and. You know, in this job, I've gone to travel. You know, listen, I've been to Fresno 6 times. I would have to travel. I don't think I've ever would have. Yeah, Rick. I think outside of LA, which I've had to travel for a lot of other stuff, I haven't been to any other city for boxing more than Fresno. So I blame Rick for that. But Fresno's a great fight city, and you know, you get to. I know every corner of Fresno now. I go there. I run.
Stockton wasn't too far away from Fresno. Remember Stockton?
No, I got in Fresno. I was running early morning by the ballpark. It was a little dark. It was like 5:30, 6 o'clock. Running those like auto body shop things by the Chukancy Park, and I was chased for a little bit by somebody who was under the influence. It wasn't a very long chase. I think they were like they didn't know what I was or what I was doing. So that was my Fresno story. I kicked into third gear to get back to the Radisson or the Ramada or wherever that time is.
Well, I mean, just around the corner, you do got like a little homeless complex there. Rick knows where I'm from the hotel there. Was it Sound Arena around that area?
Yeah, it's definitely humbling to see that for sure. But when you're running at 5 a.m. getting chases, you're not worried about that. You're just like, you know. So I got some good speed work in that day.
Well, I mean, are you sure it wasn't Rick chasing you, man? having you sign off on something? Hey, can he sign off on this? He's probably chasing you.
Yeah, listen. No, Rick's good. Rick doesn't need to chase, man. Once I get a second email from Rick, I go, oh crap, I got to kick it into high gear for sure. But yeah, that's so. I listen. I miss going to places like Fresno, and even Stockton, man. Like, yeah, I've told people this many times, and. The loudest. This is 3 years of Top Rank, so I can't speak to what happened before fights like Chavez Martinez. But the loudest I've ever heard a venue. Listen, because every big pay-per-view, big super duper star that we have, the loudest I ever heard a venue. Gabe Flores in Stockton when he knocked that over the kid.
Joe Tessitore said that too.
Which one?
Joe Tessitore said that live on air.
Yeah. Tessitore said it, and I agree. It was like a jet engine going off, man. That was special. It was just incredible.
That was an emotional fight. I think that's what the stuff about his mother, the empty seat I had sat there by the ring, the coverage from ESPN, the storylines you guys got done. Okay. I mean, it just made for an electrical night, you know, and it just was amazing that night.
So I know Rick's got plans to do that in Sacramento one day. Fill up the big arena where the Kings play, right, Rick? That's the old.
We've talked about going back to Stockton again as soon as COVID opens up with Flores and or Sacramento. So yeah, we just got to get this thing opened up in California, and there'll be a lot of fun stuff to get done. All these guys are so mature now. I mean, Flores is 20-0 right now. I mean, that's how fast time flies. You know, I remember being at the Win when we did a press conference on the Pacquiao Vargas deal. You know, just time's flying. All these young kids are, you know, they're coming into their moment. So we need this COVID to lift.
Yeah, no, listen, hopefully at some point, vaccine, who the hell knows. But, you know, Gabe's another kid. You know, I met him. He was 18 when I met him. Now he's like he's almost drinking age. So it's like crazy to see how time flies and how much he's matured in just 3 years has been pretty incredible, and how much he's improved as a fighter. I mean, when guys are 17, 18 years old, sometimes it'll, there are very few Wilfred Benitez's out there. Like at 17 can win a world title, and Gabe wasn't ready for that at 17, but I think he'll be ready pretty soon, and that's exciting to think about.
Yeah, Gabe's come a long way. He's come a long way, maturing both inside the ring and outside of the ring, and at that young age to share his story with the world and what he stands for. I mean, it says a lot, and what kind of character he has, and what he brings to the sport of boxing outside of the ring as well.
And listen, if you're in Stockton, I think Gabe Flores has a smoothie sponsorship. I saw like 18 billboards and posters with Gabe Flores is hawking like, I don't know what, it was like a smoothie or something. So I'm sure
they own that. They own a gym and a little like health and nutrition thing where they make all.
Yeah. So he's a smart kid who's doing the right thing. So it'll be exciting to see what comes next.
Yeah, I want to ask you guys this, man, before I let you guys go. Working together and with the way you guys go at it, all jokes aside, and man, I mean, you guys rub off on each other. I use this all the time when iron sharpens iron, knowing that you guys both push forward for top rank and push forward for the fighters. I mean, it's great for the sport. It's not the norm all the time that you have a promoter and that you have a great communication such as yourself, Evan, on at the same time, getting along and keeping it real for the sport of boxing. I didn't say a word because this is great entertainment. I mean, you guys are welcome back any time of the day. Rick, I'm just going to have you as like a surprise guest every single time, man. Just have you
pop in. Yeah, no, exactly. Listen. I see Rick's like Twitter posts at 4 a.m. because I'm also a psychopath who's up at 4 a.m. a lot, and he's like posting motivation stuff, like grinding, working on deals, and I'm like, it's 3:30, dude. Holy crap, So like, when listen, there's always somebody who works harder than you, and when you see somebody like Rick, just I can't even fathom the amount of stuff he does. It's humbling, and when you work around people like Brad Jacobs and Rick and people like that, that's a real motivating factor for sure.
Hey, Richard, don't let him off the hook that easy. Listen, I drove him crazy at first, Richard. It took us a few fights before we learned how to deal with each other.
Hold on, Richard. Let me stop you. He goes, I drove him crazy at first. He's right. All you have to do is take off the at first. No. It's like, I think in the 3 years, though, we only had one blowout. And that lasted for about, 4 days. And then it was like, okay, back to business. But that's when you have passionate people, that's what happens.
4 days, that's all? That's it? I remember. I'll take it back. One time I did an interview, which was, I want to clear the air with you right now, Rick. That was out of my control. I only asked the questions. I can't control the answers. And Rick said, "That's it. You're never going to cover my event again." I don't know why you would ask that question, but then the following fight, I got an email, and I even said, "Rick, is this for me?" And he said, "Just show up to the press conference." I said, "Okay." So he kind of let that one go. Do you remember that, Rick?
I don't. I'm scared to ask what you asked me, but I'm going to do it. What did you ask me?
No, I was interviewing Daniel Valdivia, El Chapolin, and right off the bat, it wasn't even one of the questions. He said, "Yeah, I'll fight Jose." And I'm like,
"Oh, okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly."
Yeah, but, everybody wants to fight Jose now. I mean, even before. And that's a compliment. Everybody wants to fight. Everybody wanted to fight him when he was just barely his first fight here in Fresno at the Samar Center, actually Sound Arena, because they knew he was the name, and he still is the name. Nothing but good things to say about Jose. I don't know anybody who's ever met Jose that has anything negative to say about him. Not even Regis talks bad about Jose. Regis respects Jose. And he told me, "Richard, it was all about the title. And one day we may share the ring together." But he has the utmost respect every conversation I have with him. And you know the way Regis can be, Rick?
Yeah, I know. I've become friends with him over time. The only person I think that is negative is Evan's friend at the Edinburgh Castle. That's about it right now. But he'll get his just due in time.
So you know what sucks about this, Rich, is like I really have affection for Jose, and I've known Jose for a long time at this point. When I first met him, Mateo wasn't even like 2 yet. He's this tiny little guy now. He's like running around all over the place. And so I like Jose. I like Josh a lot personally, and so it's like I feel like I'm the parent in the middle of like squabbling kids. I got Rick over here. I got loyalty to Jose, but Josh is also a top-ranked guy. So I hope the fight happens, and when it does, may the best man win.
I honestly think that's the most competitive fight that the sport has seen and has been made in the past 5 years. I mean, I don't know another fight where two undefeated Olympians in their prime, both unified world champions, stepped in the ring. I know you would know. And then also the implications after being the first Mexican in the history of the sport in any weight class to hold all 4 belts with a victory. That is going to be a special fight, Evan. Special.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think Wilder Fury 2. I mean, hindsight. You can look back in hindsight, but everybody said that that was basically an even money fight at the books, and so that was a rare pay-per-view fight where you had a real 50-50 in terms of the odds makers and stuff. But Ramirez Taylor, listen, I think the bookmakers would probably make Josh a slight favorite. You got that UK money that would come in.
Yeah, did that.
I'm just saying how the bookmakers. In reality, I think it's a 50-50 fight. And I can't wait. Hopefully 2021, here we come.
I hope you have the most fun with that fight. The most storylines, the most angles. I mean, that's got to be the one that I hope it's your shining moment also in guarding the team. I hope that one just becomes the one.
Well, Josh will have plenty to say. So,
yes, he will.
Josh will have plenty to say, and I'm sure you'll get Jose to throw hands a little bit. I'm sure. I think Josh Taylor will be able to get it out of Jose.
That's going to be a great fight, and if it does make it into the second half of the fight, that's going to be an exciting second half of the fight. I think that fight's going to tell many stories, and I agree with you, Rick. I also agree with you too, Evan. I see that fight going back and forth, 2-1, 2-1. I think day of it's going to be a pick'em fight. And it's great for boxing. We know what every man brings. Josh Taylor's team knows what they bring. They bring the whole UK with them. Jose Ramirez, that fight is going to make him a global star. Very well deserved. He's there every single fight, and it's just the only thing stopping Jose and being a household name is opportunity. And come that day when it is signed, sealed, and delivered, he's going to bring and make most of that opportunity.
Can't wait, Ray. I can't wait, Richard.
I know that's a slam dunk. That's an easy fight to make. Rick already knows that one's in the bank, so to speak. Rick's already thinking after the fight, but that's going to be a great fight. And I know Top Rank, they're going to give it its just due, and it's going to be electrifying. Hey, listen, Evan, when you have another man from another promotion company going on record and saying, "Oh my gosh, the lights, the camera, the action at ESPN, I'm going to tune into this Top Rank fight." When you hear that, you know you've done your job and you continue to excel and be one of the best, if not the best in the world. How does that make you feel, knowing that you work for that company that is number one in its boxing field?
It's pretty humbling. Before I got the job at Top Rank, I was admired of all the companies. I was admired Top Rank for how they developed, as just a hardcore boxing fan, how they developed their guys. And, I've always been an admirer of a guy like Bruce Trampler. And now, literally every day in the office, at least once a day, I'll just go to his office to chat, with Bruce Trampler. The moment something like that is not exciting to me, whereas I'm like a kid in a candy store, is the moment I'll quit, because that is too cool.
Exactly.
And Brad Goodman, and obviously Brad as well.
Well, Brad's awesome.
Just their knowledge is unmatched.
No, exactly. I mean, you surround yourself with these guys, and it rubs off, and we're witnessing the results of that. I got to get to some of these questions before I let you go. Real quick, our guest tomorrow is Ernesto Amador. He has a question for you. Evan, what's your response when Bob Arum said, when he was asked, "Hey, how do we fix this?" And he said, basically, get the hell out of Vegas. What's your response? Is that another day in the office? Is that another correct answer from Bob, or what is that?
It's Bob. It's going to ruffle feathers, but it's Bob being Bob. You're not going to stop him from speaking his mind. And it was hilarious.
It was hilarious. It's awesome, man. I was going to look at it.
It was funny. Right? It's already like a meme now. So
It is.
I cracked up significantly. Yes.
There you go. Even without a beer in your hand. Now, this next one is from, my gosh, Jamal Herring. He said, ask Evan, when is Top Rank finally going to give me my own show, the Jeff Herring Show, LOL?
Jamal Herring Show?
Yes.
Yeah, you tell Jamal every press conference that we have, he always worms his way into the camera, and it turns into the Jamal Herring Show. So he's had plenty of Jamal Herring shows. So, yeah. Maybe tell him when him and Frampton are signed. We'll put it on.
There you go. That's a fair one. And I'm going to just go skip ahead to this one right here. How did you get involved in Top Rank? How did you land your position?
Long story short, I was a publicist out here in Vegas working for a company. Brad Jacob, I talked a lot of stuff on Twitter about boxing. I somehow got to the attention of Brad Jacobs. A few days later, he called me up to sort of, shoot the bleep a little bit, gauge my interest. And about 2 weeks later, I was in the office interviewing with Bob and Todd. And I got the job. It was through social media. You always hear about people who get in trouble and get fired for saying stuff on social media. I'm the opposite case. Like, my love of boxing and the passion I brought to it on Twitter ultimately led to me getting this job. So I can't, so thank you, Twitter, I guess.
Hey, absolutely. It provided an opportunity. You made your own opportunity, and you got the attention of the right people.
It opened the door. And I had to sort of bang through it. But without Twitter, I wouldn't have got the job. So
there you go. Hey, man, before I let you go, man, what do you got to say to all the fans and the followers that support Top Rank, support what you're doing, and just support the whole cause of keeping boxing positive? No more black eyes.
Well, listen, man, I hope boxing fans support all boxing and all promoter shows, and and support good shows and support good boxing. And I think nowadays, especially with social media, there's too much. There's too many. I'm a fan of this promoter. I'm a fan of that promoter. I'm a fan of this promoter. Listen, at the end of the day, we want to put on great fights, and if we put on great fights, the fans will respond. So I thank everybody, because I'm a boxing fan at heart, and I was a supporter of the sport before it became my living. But so thank you. But support everybody. A lot of hardworking promoters putting on great shows, and so watch it all.
Rick, my man, hey, I know you got something brewing, man. Can you tip us off just a little bit before I let you go? What do we got going for Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy? I know you kind of are kind of leading that direction in managing that part. Can you tip your hat about anything coming our way?
So I do manage him. I signed him. I have a contract with him. So I've got a big announcement in about a week and a half with a humongous endorsement deal that I've done for him. Actually, 2 of them. So about a week and a half, 2 weeks, you'll read about that. The other plans are, which I had initiated, was franchising RGBAs across the United States. Then COVID just jumped in the middle of it, but I still am in active communications with the franchising company, just fine-tuning stuff for a moment when this stuff does, let up. Working on an autobiography, for him that'll turn into a television episodic or even a documentary about him and his family. In the background for that, I've got a bunch of stuff that's in the works. A few things I've already completed in the last 60 days after, signing him. But look, you're talking about our era's wild card here. A young trainer with tons of world champions, arguably the best gym in the world. And, he's in his prime. And look, he's got a guy on TV and himself almost every single week. So there's just a lot of special stuff I think I'll continue to get done for him as time goes on.
There you go. I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to that. And you're absolutely right about that, Jim. I always say when you're there, you never know who's going to be in there or who's going to walk in next.
Yeah.
Because of the level of competition and the respect that not only fighters, that celebrities and just people in general just want to be a piece of it and say, hey, I've walked in that gym. And I noticed so-and-so, and I had the opportunity to see this take place and that take place. Between that and Wildcard, man, it's like Universal Studios, and then you got Paramount Studios. I mean, you can't pick one over the other, and both are legendary, and both are good for the sport. And both you gentlemen are good for the sport. I want to thank you, Rick, for staying in contact with us and just being a pop-up guest. That's what I'm going to call you, a pop-up guest. I'm not even going to tell anybody from now on our guests. I'm just going to text you and say, pop in, and I'll send you the link. Evan, taking time out of your busy schedule. I mean, you've always embraced the show. You're a true supporter. I appreciate both you gentlemen. And, hey, Richard Ortiz, I'm your host of The Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. And like Evan and Rick Mirigian, we're simply knocking out the competition. It's a wrap. Thumbs up for Richie.
Okay, fight fans, it's not goodbye, but until next week. Remember, it's always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, Cole Escovedo, the special guests, and all the crew right here at the Kick-Ass Podcast, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.